Hello and welcome to Gloomhaven Brutal in under 2 hours. I've been working on this run for a couple months now, and I'm excited to share it with some people and see if I can get somebody else running this game. I think it's actually a really good speed run. It kind of reminds me a bit of Pokemon, where you have a route and you have plans and you have strategies for every turn, and then the RNG messes you up and you have to deal with it. Starting into the run, there are a little bit of spoilers. I do unlock the Lightning Bolt class along with getting to Prosperity 3. So right here you can see that I'm creating some characters. That's just to donate to the church to increase the prosperity. So there will be spoilers for Prosperity 3 items. But it's not a huge deal. I have tried routing a little bit with just the base characters. And anyone who is familiar with the Lightning Bolt class will understand why that class is just by far the best for speedrunning the game. Destroys bosses, can go really fast, can move really far, and just do a lot of damage. So right here, the very first thing you saw me do, I created a Spellweaver and a Cragheart. That is because each of those have a certain city event associated with their races that can get an additional prosperity. So there are 6 city events in the starting deck of 30 cards that can give +1 prosperity. So I have a 1 in 5 chance, and I just reset for that chance. It takes about a minute to create 2 characters, to start a new file, to create 2 characters, and do a city event. So I have a 1 in 5 chance. So I just reset until I get +1 prosperity, and then I start my run. So in this run, I got my +1 prosperity. Now I'm creating characters until I get the right retirement goal. There are 3 retirement goals that can unlock the Lightning Bolt class. One of them is 4 quests in Gloomhaven, and then some side quests. So that one is not very fast, not very good. One of them is kill 15 Vermlings, and that one would be really good, except none of the 16 required missions to beat the game have any Vermlings in them. So we have to go for the third one, which is become exhausted 12 times. That's why I created 2 of the squishy classes. The Spellweaver and the Mind Thief both have 6 starting HP, and I just create them until I get the right retirement goals. Now I donate to the church with all of the characters that I created. The last character that I create right here, well, it was supposed to be a Cragheart. I just misclicked and accidentally did a Brute, but now I will realize what I've done and go and create a Cragheart. I want to send a Cragheart in with the Mind Thief because I need to make sure I die, and the Cragheart has good ways to damage myself. So this road event right here, there is only 1 road event in the starting deck that gives plus prosperity. So super unlikely to hit that. It would be really nice. It saves about a minute if you can get that road event that gives +1 prosperity, and then there will be another chance for a city event when we get back to town for +1 prosperity. So right here, I just need to die 12 times. Sounds like it would take forever. It really doesn't take that long. The entire dying process takes about 8 minutes. So it's really not too bad. You can see I'm going slow on purpose with my Cragheart and then taking 2 cards that can damage my Mind Thief. The Cragheart does not need to complete its turn. The only thing that you need to have happen is for the Mind Thief to die, and then for you to be able to abandon quest, which you can do once it becomes your turn again. So you'll see that I only take the turn on the Cragheart if I need to damage the Mind Thief to kill it. Other than that, the Mind Thief goes faster than 15, which is the guard's fastest card that they can use to attack, and I need to move 3 so that they have to take fewer steps to hit me. Interestingly, ever since the latest patch where they added the Jaws of the Lion DLC, they changed the way the retry quest works, the retry quest system, and now it will shuffle all of the enemy initiative cards when you retry level. It used to be that whichever one card they had selected initially, whenever you reset it would always be the same card. But now it's a different card. It doesn't really matter too much because they also removed the ability for them to get their Retaliate card. So on turn 1, they will always pull an attacking card, and I've had 300 or 400 resets on level 1 just from retrying this level and dying 12 times over and over and over again, and I have not seen them pull that Retaliate card ever since the latest patch. They do pull the Retaliate card after turn 1 later in this run, but it's just a really nice thing that I guess they didn't want that card being pulled on turn 1 for some reason. So we should be just about there. I haven't been counting how many times the Mind Thief has died, but he should be getting very close. There was one other strategy that I had that I tried for a little bit, where I would bring 4 characters and retire all 4 of them. There is a battle goal of experience your allies exhausting 15 times, and then there are 2 retirement goals that are experience 2 of your allies retiring twice. And you can bring the same retirement goal on 2 different characters at the same time. And so you would return back to Gloomhaven and you have 4 characters retire, which gets 4 extra prosperity. Unfortunately, doing that is just slower. In all my testing, it ends up being about a minute slower. So I guess if you got perfect luck and got the best city and road events possible, since you get an extra city event doing it that way, it might be faster. It would also be faster if they ever add the ability for you to skip the cutscenes when you unlock a character. Interestingly, you unlock 2 of the music note when you do that strategy, and it plays the cutscene twice, even though you already have it unlocked. But you just saw right there that I had to use some damage on the Cragheart to kill the Mind Thief. That's why the Cragheart is brought. It is possible for them to leave the Mind Thief at 3 health, and then the Cragheart can't even deal enough damage to kill it, but it's very unlikely. It's only happened to me, I think, twice. They have to get their lowest damage card, and they have to get all 3 of them minuses, with one of them being a -2. So I think this should be the last one, if it's not the next one. This route, I used the Lightning Bolt class, the Berserker, and the Mind Thief. Initially, when I first routed the speedrun, I was actually using the Eclipse with the Lightning Bolt class, but in order to unlock the Eclipse, I had to get a whole bunch of negative reputation city events, and that just takes too much time and is too random, and the Mind Thief actually does a really good job in the run. So now we have the Berserker unlocked. She is fantastic, just definitely by far the best class for speedrunning. So I've just got a few more donations I need to get in here. Unfortunately, not getting a good city event here, so that will lose it's about a minute and 15 seconds that it takes to create 5 characters and donate. It's very important to get at least 1 plus prosperity, because with 1 prosperity from a city event, you only need to donate 40 times. Whereas if you do not get that, then the next prosperity goal from the church costs an extra 5 donations, so you would have to donate 50 times. So with this sped up, we should be getting there pretty quickly. So if anybody else is wanting to run this game, I am working on writing out my route all of my notes into a document. So if you have any interest in running this, you can just send me a message and I can send my notes over to you. I do not think my notes are perfect, and this run that I have right here is definitely not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes. At least 10 minutes can almost consistently be saved just by not making any mistakes. And I don't think that my route is perfect. I definitely think that there are multiple scenarios where a few turns can be saved here or there from different strategies. But looking at that, we just hit Prosperity 3, so it's time to create the characters. Now, unfortunately, you really need to get retirement goals that do not cost you time, and something like kill 20 cultists, it costs time every time you kill a cultist or a bandit and you come back to town. So I had to reset a couple times. I had to create 2 pairs of each of the mercenaries. So right here, getting the items, this is where the Prosperity 3 comes in. The Berserker really wants the long spear. If you're familiar with that item, it is just probably the best item in the game. Along with the Berserker, the item was built for the class. It's insane. Just be able to take a single target attack and hit 2 things with it. Really good. I'm going to be leveling up the Berserker here. I'll take Reckless Offensive. I only am using this card, I think, twice in the entire run. But when it's good, it's good. And then this other card is Fatal Fury. This is most definitely my favorite card on the Berserker. It's my entire playstyle revolves around using Fatal Fury. Really, really good, insanely strong card. An easy way to know how it works. It is when you have 1 HP, you can kill any enemy that has 3 plus your current level's health. So my Berserker is level 3. So when I have 1 HP, I can kill any target that has exactly 6 HP or less remaining. Hey, so this is after I've already finished recording all of the post-commentary. I figured I would just go ahead and in between level, right before level 1, I would go through all of the cards that these characters have, just in case you're a little unfamiliar. So starting with the Berserker, first card is Resolute Stand. The top is to attack for however much health you are missing. Very, very, very solid attack. And then it can be affected by the Long Spear, so super good. Bottom is Move 2, Retaliate 1. That's used a couple times throughout the run. Growing Rage. The main thing this card is good for is that it is 85 speed, and then the bottom is a Move 3, Attack 2 if you are less than half health. So that move and attack on a bottom is very useful, especially paired with Fatal Fury. The top is attack for X, where that's however many cards you've burned. I don't use it. It can be good, but I don't use it in this run. Strength in Agony. The top is an attack. It's decent. The bottom, though, is where it's all about. This is your main tool for manipulating your health. You can suffer up to 3 damage, which is very good paired with Fatal Fury. And then you can move for up to 7 spaces. Super, super good. Defiance of Death. This card is amazing. As long as you're less than half health, the top is an attack for 5. Occasionally useful. And then the bottom, you can not die 3 times when you would die, as long as you've activated it. Very good. From the Brink, this card is relatively useless, but it is your only top heal, so it is used for that. It heals for however much health you are missing, but really the way it works is however far away you are from max health. So if you are above max health, you can still heal more. Blood Pact is an attack for 6, but you suffer half of your current health. The bottom is never used. Cauterize. The top is really good. 2 targets and it wounds. Really, really good on high shield, low health enemies like Living Spirits and Flame Demons. Dazzling Wound. Unfortunately, I don't ever get to use this card. I do really, really like it. When I have a level 1 Berserker, I use this card all the time, but it doesn't get used in this run. Furious Aid. Bottom is totally useless. The top is loot 2. Very, very good. Having a top loot is very nice. You can move into position and loot in the same turn. Bounce Back. The top is Retaliate 2, completely useless, but it's 14 speed and it has Move 3, Heal 1. Very, very, very useful. Unbridled Power. The top is an attack stun, and then you can consume fire to make it deal 4 damage. I really feel like I should use this card more than I do, but I don't use it very much. The bottom lets you heal to over your maximum health, up to 26. So that is useful in many, many scenarios. When you pair it with this card, Glass Hammer, you attack for your current hit point value, and then you go down to 1 health. So this is the card that keeps the Berserker down at 1 health and makes you stay at 1 health. And then Numb the Pain, I never use it. The bottom is actually really good when you're playing a level 1 Berserker, but I do not use it in this run. And quickly, to just go through the Mind Thief, Submissive Affliction, it's an attack for 2, and then you get 1 extra damage for each negative condition on them. Very, very good. And then the bottom sounds useless, but it's actually very useful in multiple scenarios. Force an enemy to perform an attack 2. Next card, Into Night. Top is a loot, bottom is invisible. Very solid card. Fearsome Blade. This is the MVP of the run. Without this card, the Mind Thief would be useless, but 3 on a push is amazing. So an attack 2, push 3, fantastic, fantastic card. And then the bottom of Move 4, Attack for 2 is really, really good when you need to burst, when you need to use a bottom and a top attack both. That is very good burst. Feedback Loop, the top, completely ignore it, completely useless, but this card is very good because it's slow and it has a Move 4 jump. Ignore all of the text after Move 4 jump. You will never use it for that. You only use it for Move 4 jump. Gnawing Horde, the top summon just cannot handle it in Brutal, but the bottom is Move 4. That's very good. Mind's Weakness. This is the card that makes the Mind Thief amazing. The top makes it so that all of your melee attacks deal 2 extra damage. You just have to play it once or discard it once, and then that card, it stays into play, and all of your melee attacks deal 2 extra damage. I almost always just spend every scenario with this up top. I will use this bottom attack 1 wound 1 time. Parasitic Influence, it's pretty useless. It's only used once or twice. The bottom can make an enemy move 1. Scurry, this card is really, really good because it has a top move. So move and attack 1, but you throw in the Mind's Weakness, that's an attack for 3. Bottom has a loot 2. I don't use it in this run because I didn't need to, but sometimes it's useful. Perverse Edge, the top is an attack 3, so 5 with the Mind's Weakness, and then you add 2 for each negative condition. So if they're poisoned and wounded, and you have the Mind's Weakness up, that is an attack for 9. Amazing, amazing card. The bottom is a stun, a range 2 stun. So very, very, very useful, both halves of the card. Empathetic Assault, this is the only real ranged attack that the Mind Thief has, but it does do 4 damage and it's 5 range, and it disarms. Bottom is a very good heal. Mind Thief starts with 6 health, so 2 health is 1/3 of your total health. Compare that with a long rest, or add that with a long rest, and you pretty much heal your whole health. Withering Claw, I don't even know what this card does. It's useless. Possession, the bottom makes an ally move 4, and then Frigid Apparition, the top is an attack 5 with Mind's Weakness and Consume Ice to stun. Bottom is a move 4 and a stun. So that is all of the cards that are used in this run, and now I will throw it back to level 1. So I got a really good road event here. It gave gold to both my characters. It's really, really nice because the next item each of them want to buy costs 30 gold, and we will be getting 10 gold for completing the second scenario, Barrow Lair. Oh, right here, I had to help my son with something, so I was away from the computer for a couple seconds and lost a little bit of time. So we need to be getting 20 gold from picking things up, and we get 3 gold per pile. So with the 5 gold that each of my characters got from that road event, I only need to get 5 gold piles each in order to get my next buy on them, which is quite important. The money routing, it changes a lot based off the RNG that you get. So right here you can see on turn 1, we wanted to go slower than 15 in case they got their shield and poison card, but faster than 30. That's their fastest move card. So 29 and 24. Right here I'm using a loss on the Mind Thief, which you might feel is a little wasteful, but you really never feel the effect. It really doesn't matter. This attack modifier pull is pretty important. You really want a 0 or better because now this guard has 6 health, which means he will die to Fatal Fury. If I draw a negative, then I have to spend an extra turn attacking him with the Mind Thief, which is not the end of the world. It also means that the Mind Thief gets to pick up an extra gold pile because the Mind Thief can hit and then grab a gold pile right next to him, and then the Berserker can kill. But you really want to kill this guy with Fatal Fury because it gives fire. And then step over to the side so that the Archer can't see you, because this Archer can do a lot of damage. Mind Thief's going to move forward, shove this guy into the trap, go invisible so that the enemies will walk towards the Berserker. It would be more ideal if this guard were moving here, but it doesn't particularly matter. It doesn't affect much either way. We're going to go slow. We're using the top of Unbridled Rage, which is going to consume that fire to deal extra damage, which is why we really wanted to kill with Fatal Fury last turn. And then you can see how nice it is to get to start with a Poison Dagger, get to deal an extra damage to this Archer, and it'll make our Submissive Affliction deal 2 extra damage. So that's now a 6 damage attack on a level 1 character with no losses or anything. Very, very solid. We get to move forward and hit this guy. It's unfortunate that he has this shield here. It makes him take a lot less damage, given that we're hitting him twice. So if he were at 3 health here, that would be very nice. But it's not the end of the world. I should have gone faster here with the Mind Thief. That was a mistake. I should have just hit the Archer. I don't know why I was wanting the 1 extra damage from having an extra wound on him to make Submissive Affliction deal more. That was just a mistake. So the Archer was able to get away. Then I was really indecisive here. I should have just made the decision quickly because it does not matter what I do here. I could either walk forward and kill this guy, or I could stay still and let it die to the wound. Both of those would work just fine. I also make a mistake right here on the next turn. This level 1 was not good. I was very much considering just resetting here, but after I had spent all that time creating characters and donating to the church, it's hard to convince myself to reset on level 1. And this run did end up being decently okay. This is the first run I've had that didn't completely lose any levels. There are a couple times where I have to abandon quest and restart round. With this being one of them, I I clicked the wrong card on the Mind Thief, and I realized it immediately. I do not want Scurry there. Very frequently you pair Perverse Edge with Scurry, but that is not what I want in this case. Neither of these two bandits in this room, the archer and the guard, neither of them have any healing cards, so I do not have to worry about them removing their wounds. They will die to these wounds, so I can just go ahead and move forward. Opening this door, I'm just checking the skeletons to see if they're healing or not, and their 20 card is a heal. Their 12 card is also a heal. So I would go ahead and poison this one so that he won't get any health back on his heal. That way he will die to my Fatal Fury from the Berserker on the following turn. But this turn, I just get into position and remove these archers because they can be a pain. And thank you, Long Sphere, for being super OP. Also gives a large amount of experience, which is really nice. So you can just ditch cards to not take damage here. Not that one. I need loot. Yeah. Not a very good level 1 on here. You can see from my timer in the bottom right that I'm already losing time over my best split. It was done quite poorly. But now I can Fatal Fury this skeleton in the top and start picking up some loot. I'm just going to go ahead and speed it up because there's not much left that happens in this scenario. Kill that guy, get in position for the loot, jump over here, grab this loot. Like I said, gold is very, very important. It's particularly getting to level 5. You really, really need some... you don't need, but it is much easier with good items on the Mind Thief in particular really wants the loot. So this skeleton will be going down here, and we are done with level 1. Definitely not a good level 1. Lost easily a minute and a half. But it is what it is. Pick up this gold pile and the next gold pile. So moving on to level 2. Level 2 is a connected scenario. It is connected to level 1, so we won't have a road event on the way. We will just go straight into it. Which is why I picked all of the cards that I did. I picked several cards that I did not use in the first scenario, on the Berserker in particular, because it has some really good uses here in this second scenario. It is important to try to pick battle goals that can give you additional perk points, but it's not super necessary. So, you would think, if you know this scenario well, that this is a heavy RNG point. And it is actually not. I have very consistent strats for dealing with this bandit commander, and always killing him the turn I open the door before he has the ability to do anything. So this is the only use you will ever see for anyone ever using the bottom of Cauterize. A lost card to heal 8 health is not good, but it just so happens in this case it is actually pretty good. So Unbridled Power allows us to overheal up to 26 health. It also heals 3, and then add 2 to that to make it a heal for 5. Then since we're 5 health over, From the Brink heals us for 5, plus 2 to 7, and that gets us all the way up to full health. Unfortunately, the Mind Thief was immobilized on turn 1, which is not the worst, but not the best. We would really not want him to be immobilized on turn 2. Normally, we would use Mind's Weakness on the archer that's poisoned and right next to us and hopefully kill it, and then use the bottom of Fearsome Blade to move over and hit the other archer. But since we were immobilized, I used the bottom of Submissive Affliction to just do some damage. Here you can see both my characters are going at 11, but the game looks at the second card that you picked when your character's tied to see who goes first. So my Berserker had Strength of Agony, a 37 speed card, and my Mind Thief had Feedback Loop, a 79. So you can see that I one-shot the boss with that extra health. If I had pulled a negative attack modifier, the boss would have survived, which is why I used a ranged attack on the Mind Thief. If the boss survives, the Mind Thief moves up and snipes him from range. Even if they both pull -2s, they would still kill the boss. But since that didn't happen, I was able to finish in 3 turns. So good RNG is 3 turns, bad RNG is 4 turns. But you will always have this scenario done in 3 or 4 turns. That scenario does add extra curses to the deck, but you are able to play with the house rule of curses just being -2s instead of misses. So that is very, very good. That you can know if an enemy has 8 health and you're hitting it for 10, it will die 100% of the time. So since I got that extra gold on that very first road event, I have the gold to get a Jagged Sword here on my Mind Thief. You can see I would have been 2 gold short. and I can get a major healing potion on my Berserker. Time to switch my cards. I no longer need From the Brink or Unbridled Power. I don't need to heal over 26. I will be taking those cards again later, but for now, it is time for one of the uses of Reckless Offensive. So this is a really fun scenario right here, Crypt of the Damned. This is definitely a heavy RNG scenario. You are really, really, really looking for the second room for these cultists to not summon skeletons. Summoning skeletons is very, very bad. I also got a really bad road event on the way here that made me take some damage. And so you can see my Mind Thief is almost dead. Only has 2 health left. So I had to use... let me slow this down. Had to use Empathetic Assault turn 1 to get some heal. And then no damage on the skeleton here. That doesn't particularly matter. Mostly I just need the Mind's Weakness up. But this damage is really unfortunate. Having to ditch a card here, it really threw me off because that has never happened before. I have never had to lose a card here. And so in a turn here, you're going to see I'm really confused because I don't have the cards that I normally have on my Mind Thief. But attacking this guy with the Mind's Weakness up, I believe this attack will always kill with the trap damage. No, with a -2. With a -2, he will survive. But you can just push him into the Berserker, and then the Berserker can hit him with Strength and Agony to kill him. So we got Defiance of Death up. That is a very, very, very important buff throughout this run for the Berserker. The Berserker now cannot die. So the next 3 sources of damage that would kill the Berserker will suffer no damage instead, which is just fantastic. You can see here I'm confused because I'm counting my cards because I forgot that I had to lose a card to not take damage. So going to move forward, not opening this door yet. Opening the door would... it would cause all of the monsters to move, and I didn't have my characters in the right positioning. So now I will be moving into position, and I have both my characters going as fast as possible. Even though I can't see the enemies, I don't want to pull a slow card because once I open the door, they could go in between. So I'm checking to see what they're doing. The cultists are not summoning, which is really, really good RNG. And also the archers are not moving, which means they will be staying still, and so they will suffer 1 damage from this Retaliate from my Berserker. So I go ahead and heal up so that he can take some hits, and suffer 3 damage so that he can hit 3 targets. Big damage coming in here. For some reason, I just don't really like this card, Reckless Offensive, but it definitely has some very solid uses. So I got really good damage out here, and this archer is going to die to the Retaliate. Goodbye. And then they didn't even proc any of my Defiance of Death, which is really nice. Mind Thief survives. Unfortunately, because I had to lose that card, the Mind Thief is going to have to short rest here. Normally he would not. And with this really good RNG, I would be able to clear all of the enemies before either of my characters had a long rest. But it is what it is. This scenario still ended up going really well, even with that little bit of time lost from me being confused. So just try to pick up the gold on my Berserker. So I am ahead on gold since I already have my Jagged Sword here. Otherwise, I would be trying to pick up this gold. I would normally be using Into the Night to pick up those 2 gold piles on the Mind Thief before going to fight the Earth Demon over in that room off to the right. But since I got that lucky road event, I really don't need to. So this is where you're going to see that the Mind Thief does an amazing job of splitting off and taking single targets. The Berserker is definitely the carry for the run, and the Mind Thief is more of the support. But don't let labels fool you. The Mind Thief ends up doing a lot of damage. Ideally here, that Earth Demon would be moving 3. I believe 2 of his cards will let him move 3, and then the Mind Thief can go invisible right there, and the Earth Demon will walk onto the trap. But that doesn't end up happening. As long as the Berserker has 5 health or 3 health or less, he can deal 5 damage one-shotting these Wind Demons. And then I've still got my charges of Defiance of Death up, so I don't have to worry about taking any damage. You might think that this cultist summoning here is bad RNG, but it's not. It's actually good RNG, because I can always kill with Resolute Stand before either the cultist or the skeleton can do anything on the second turn. Here it is possible for the Mind Thief to get the kill with good damage pulls, but I get a -2 right here. And so this Earth Demon doesn't die, but it's not the end of the world. He is wounded. He does have a heal card, but just basically any tap will kill him. And now I'm able to long spear to kill both of these guys, so I don't have to worry about the fact that the cultist was summoning again. The game was trying to give me really bad RNG, but it did not happen. So now there's just one Wind Demon left. I've got multiple tools to deal with him. So first I'm going to grab that loot. I've got a lot of cards that I can ditch if I need to not take damage on the Berserker, so I'm really not in any danger here. And I've also got 2 health, which means that if I short rest and I pull Fatal Fury first, I can try something else. I could have just killed this Earth Demon with the Mind Thief, but for some reason I didn't right there. I don't know. Unfortunately, can't get that gold pile right there, but it's not the end of the world. And that is Crypt of the Damned. Moving on to Ruinous Crypt. Ruinous Crypt, you start disarmed, which is... I don't know if you noticed, but the first perk that I took on my Mind Thief, the perk that I got by retiring a character, I took the ignore negative scenario effects. Unfortunately, the Berserker does not get ignore negative scenario effects. Also very important to make sure that I bring Blood Pact here and not Cauterize. If I get bad RNG on turn 2, then Blood Pact is the card that I need to fix that. So, this is going to be another case of my mercenaries splitting up. They have their very specialized tool sets. Oh, I guess I use Reckless Offensive 3 times, because I do use it in this scenario too. So, on this turn 1, I'm looking for 2 things. 5 out of 8 of the Night Demon cards allow them to move and attack, and that is what I want to see. Even though I had to dish a card here on the Mind Thief, that is definitely what I want to see. 3 out of 8 of their cards have them stand still, which is not good. Because I want this guy to walk forward so that the Mind Thief can, boom, push him into the traps. And then this guy over here, the Mind Thief can suggest that he step onto the trap. So that's huge damage from the Mind Thief right there on that turn. Berserker can use Reckless Offensive to guarantee kill that guy. And then, unfortunately, since the Cultist didn't walk all the way up to the Mind Thief, I'm not able to double hit him with Perverse Edge bottom and Mind Weakness top. But since he wasn't summoning this turn, it was fine for me to just use Perverse Edge for the move and the Mind's Weakness for the extra damage. I should have just taken the 3 damage there. It wouldn't have been... Oh well. I get a unlucky -2 pull here, but the Cultist isn't summoning. Even if the Cultist were summoning here, the bottom of Fatal Fury, I could use to hit the skeleton twice for 2, and then I could use my boots to get into position below the skeleton and the Cultist, and Blood Pact to kill them both with a long spear. So even the worst possible... Oh, and on turn 1, if the Cultist had summoned, I would have just abandoned quest and retried level. It's faster to abandon quest and retry level and just get a turn where they don't summon. If they summon on turn 1, there's nothing you can do about it because you're disarmed. So I'm able to kill everything. If you noticed, I took the Mind's Weakness off on the Mind Thief. I almost never take the Mind's Weakness off because it is just too good of a card. Even though sometimes you can gain an extra turn of longevity by bringing it down, I don't ever have to do that in this run. Only sometimes on really long scenarios like Slave Pens does that end up happening. So I long rest both my characters. Now my Mind Thief has all of his Poison Dagger and his Wound Dagger back up. Berserker is able to go into this room over here, and these Frost Demons are going to go... They're going to go to sleep as soon as I'm done healing. Then the Mind Thief is going to go in the room on the opposite side, and he is going to wound the Flame Demons. That is why I brought the Mind's Weakness down, because the Mind Weakness bottom actually gives me a second opportunity to wound. So these guys only have 3 health, and they deal 2 retaliate, so it's really easy to just get up in their face and make them both die in 3 turns. Then I can go invisible, so I don't have to worry about anything. And ideally, the Elite Skeleton will move closer to my Mind Thief on 1 turn, and then I will long rest the second, and then on the 3rd turn, on that 2nd turn, he would stay close. Skeletons have multiple cards that they either barely move, they only move 2 spaces, or they don't move at all. But unfortunately, he got his move 5. If he had stayed close, then my Mind Thief would have been able to kill him, and then on the same turn, use Boots plus Feedback Loop to get the chest in the bottom left-hand corner, which has 15 gold. But unfortunately, since that skeleton has run very far away, that is not going to happen. So you can see these flame demons are almost dead to this wound. I really, really love this strategy. It's one of my favorite strategies I have in the entire run. Initially, when I did this level, I was using Cauterized Top on the Berserker to wound both of those flame demons. But then when I realized that the Mind Thief was able to do it, and they could just each solo their own half of the scenario, it was fantastic. So you can see here, this elite has 10 health. But just because the top of Perverse Edge, you almost always use it for the bottom, but the top is just amazing. Even without the Mind's Weakness, I'm able to hit for 8. Unfortunately, he has a shield, and I got a minus on the pull, so he doesn't die right there. It's very easy for that to end up doing 9 damage to him, and then he dies to the wound. And he is healing this turn, which is definitely bad RNG. It means I'm not guaranteed to kill him next turn, but anything that is a -1 or better. Have to remember that Mind's Weakness is not up right here, so I grabbed my Strength and Agony, my big move card, on my Berserker just in case I needed to go over there. But the Mind Thief is able to grab this gold pile and then Empathetic Assault for the big damage, and he does not get a -2, so that guy goes down. And this was really good RNG. I probably could have, or I definitely could have grabbed one of those gold piles in the top right-hand corner, but I'm not exactly sure where my gold is sitting right now. But let's see, Ruinous Crypt and Plane of Elemental Power. These are linked scenarios, so I don't get the opportunity to go back to Gloomhaven in between. Just need to make sure to switch Blood Pact for Cauterize. Yeah, I do want to take Blood Pact as well. I switch Growing Rage for Cauterize. Somehow I almost always make that mistake, but I almost always fix it. So don't have to worry about road events moving into this next scenario, which is very, very nice. Turn 1 of this scenario can go absolutely fantastically. The Berserker has Resolute Stand, which gives Retaliate, and 3 out of 8 of the Flame Demon cards do not allow them to move. So if that happens, you can stand in between, you can wound them both with Cauterize, stand in between, and then they both suffer 1 damage and Retaliate. But unfortunately, they grabbed their move card. But Submissive Affliction bottom is able to do a very similar thing, and +2 is the only pull that they could get that would deal any damage. So now both of these Flame Demons are going to die super easily. So definitely pretty good RNG on turn 1 here. So I've got Mind's Weakness activated on my Mind Thief, so he's going to go ahead and go into the second room here, and I'm checking to see how much damage Mind Thief is going to take. You have 2 places that you can use the Invisibility Cloak in this scenario, in this second room or in the third room. I almost always use it in the third room, but if all 3 of those demons are going to be attacking the Mind Thief, I go ahead and go invisible right there. The Mind Thief's only going to take aggro from 2 of them, since the Flame Demon is just doing a melee attack and can't move. I should have taken the damage here. I don't know why. I just really like ditching into the night. I think that's 3 scenarios so far. I've ditched into the night to not take damage. And then, yeah, Sun Demons do a lot of damage and they have advantage. So Brutal is very difficult, very easy to die in 1 hit. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but the poor Mind Thief is going to stay level 1 through the entire run. It's a fantastic class at level 1, and its level ups don't really make it very much stronger. Its level 5 card, Cranium Overload, is pretty good, being able to insta-kill a normal target along with having a move 5. Really nice +2 from the Berserker right there, killing that Sun Demon. But, yeah, Mind Thief is just going to stay at 6 health the entire run. So, I don't know if this was the right call or not, preventing this Flame Demon from dealing any damage. Take the 2 Retaliate. Please take the 2 Retaliate. Why am I taking so long? But it is time to get prepared for the third room. So Berserker is going to go ahead and kill this Flame Demon right here. Ideally, at some point in time, he would have moved forward, but he was never getting any move cards on me. So he just ends up chilling in the back. So I had to use one of my charges of Defiance of Death to step on that trap there. It is possible, based off the cards that the Elite Earth Demon draws in the last room, it's possible to push him into 2 traps using Fearsome Blade. But now that the Berserker has stepped on one of those, that's not going to happen. So since I still have my Invisibility Cloak available, my computer is pretty slow, so it lags, it chugs, especially on this level with all of those magma pits, hazardous terrain tiles. But having Invisibility Cloak is really, really good here. You really want to be able to pull these flame demons up towards this door so that they can group up. And luckily, they did get a move card here. And you can see... oh, they are not... Oh, okay. Once the Sun Demon moves up, that Flame Demon and that Sun Demon they're right next to each other. So I can go ahead and Long Spear the two of them. And so that was my plan. I go fast here on the Berserker, but the Flame Demons go even faster. No, these characters cannot beat 3. But it is not a big deal. That does not matter at all. I guess it does in the end up losing me 1 turn. Since these two Flame Demons have grouped up together, I can go ahead and just kill the 2 Flame Demons with my Long Spear. They just... Man, that Earth Demon just disappears to the Mind Thief. Super, super, super OP. You can, as long as you're missing 6 health, or I guess it's 7 health, which is very easy. You just have to be at half health for the Berserker to be able to one-shot a Flame Demon with Fatal Fury. So ideally, I would have used Resolute Stand on this Sun Demon, but definitely a mistake here. I was thinking that I would get this Sun Demon down to 6 health and then be able to Fatal Fury him. I don't know why I thought that. I should have just gone for Fatal Fury bottom and Blood Pact top, and I would have killed this guy a turn sooner. I guess I would have gotten 1 fewer gold pile, though, on each of my characters. So, just clean up crew here. My characters are easily able to kill this Sun Demon, and my Mind Thief was very close to exhausting, but didn't quite get there. And able to pick up that gold pile, kill this guy, and pick up his gold pile as well. So, Plane of Elemental Power is done. That is the first 5 scenarios. We are now moving on to Frozen Hollow. Frozen Hollow has a lot of interesting attributes to it. Namely, every enemy in it retaliates, except for the Living Spirits, but almost every enemy retaliates. The Elite Frost Demon in the final room has Retaliate 3. It's very, very, very difficult for the Mind Thief to deal with, because my Mind Thief only has 2 ranged attacks, Perverse Edge bottom, which deals 1 damage, and then Empathetic Assault, which is a loss. So I go ahead and buy my Moon Earring and equip it. I'm very bad about remembering to equip my items. And I create a Spellweaver. You might not think that the Spellweaver would see any use on Brutal, but I use her for 1 scenario. So, and actually this one ends up going really, 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 really poorly. Normally I can end up saving a lot of time on this scenario, but I get some really bad RNG on my Spellweaver, and she is almost useless. I picked the wrong one there. That is not a road event you see frequently. That road event was only added to the deck when the Mind Thief retired. So I should have picked the other one. It ends up really hurting me because I started poisoned and suffering 2 damage, and I wasn't sure if I could do it, so I went ahead and just abandoned and retried so that I wouldn't have to worry about that damage. It's very hard for my Spellweaver to heal herself. And suffering that extra damage on her is not good. But abandoning right there made me lose my 2 blesses that I got from donating to the church. But even with that, with Eagle Eye Goggles and a Power Potion and a spell that can hit 4 targets, you can kind of already see why this Spellweaver is so good. Here's another use of Reckless Offensive. Spellweaver hitting 4 for 4, so doing an attack for 16 with advantage. And then... such bad luck there to get the -2. -2 is the only thing that wouldn't have killed that wolf. And so this puts me in a really awkward situation. Normally, there's only 1 wolf alive, and the fact that it's at 4 health is kind of unusual, because I attacked it with advantage. If I had had those 2 blesses, it's very possible that I could have had a +2 on it instead. So... I reacted really poorly here. My normal strategy, there's only 1 wolf for the Spellweaver to deal with, and so she can double up on it. But I do not get the +1 right there that I need, so that wolf is still going to survive. and it is going to kill my Spellweaver. Ugh. Hurts to watch. And then I don't know what on earth I was thinking here. I wanted to kill this wolf. I should have just gone Resolute Stand and Cauterize. And this is a very painful scenario. I lost a lot of time here. And once again, I was considering resetting. Unfortunately, I never would have gone faster than this wolf. Is faster than all of my cards, and it immobilizes, which means my Spellweaver cannot even move forward. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Also, I always use that turn to set up Defiance of Death on my Berserker, and so I forgot that I didn't have it set up yet. And I go ahead and move forward into the second room, which is very dangerous. I would say this is the second hardest scenario in the entire run. It's definitely a little easier with the Spellweaver than it is with the Mind Thief. I've done a lot of testing on using the Mind Thief or the Spellweaver in this scenario, and in general, the Spellweaver is a little bit easier and a lot faster. So I had to use my Reviving Ether in room 1. If you're familiar with the Spellweaver, you generally want to use that halfway through. My normal strat has me using Reviving Ether once I have cleared this second room. But we will see if it ends up working out, or if I have to retry this level. You can see I'm already 4.5 minutes ahead versus my other run, so retrying the level maybe wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Alright, these guys are so slow. So ideally, I would have my summon up here, and my summon would have been able to take a turn and walk forward and hit those guys. But given that my Spellweaver had to use a bottom attack and then got immobilized, she's way further back than she normally is, and the cards are not set up the way they normally are. So ideally, I would have her summon here, who hits for 3. Insane that a level 1 summon is able to hit for 3. Here I've got some decisions to make on whether I want to use Blood Pack, which I do. That +2 was really lucky on that Frost Demon back there. And then it ended up that I did not have my Defiance of Death up like I thought I did. I figured that I would just take some damage and be fine. But both of these Frost Demons are wounded. As long as they don't draw their heal card right here, which I believe their heal card, there has to be Frost up for them to consume, for them to heal. So, not the end of the world. They will both die to their wounds. Can just start moving towards that last room. You can see as soon as the Spellweaver gets into combat, she has really good damage, and she can burst things heavily. Having that ranged AoE damage is just really, really good in this scenario. So I can get my summon up and move into the last room. This is definitely a long scenario. And I have very few turns left on the Spellweaver. So this is a very important damage pull on the Berserker. When you have 1 health, Resolute Stand needs a +1 to kill this Frost Demon. And with advantage, I get a minus. And I do not have Defiance of Death up. So at this point in time, I was not sure I was going to win. I was actually thinking it was pretty likely I was going to lose. I've lost this scenario in the final room many times. But the Living Spirits did not pull high damage attacks. They're only attacking for 2, and then they got a couple minuses. And the Frost Demon doesn't even kill me here. And luckily, my summon now is able to do some work. I've never used the summon in the last room before, but it ended up working out this time. Do not have many turns left on my Spellweaver since she had to Reviving Ether in that second room. But it's pretty easy. Maybe I should have cauterized both of them here. Living Spirits do have a heal card, but the odds are pretty good. Man, come on. Come on, Summon. Summon just needs to get a +2 to kill one of these guys from full health. And Spellweaver just needs a +2, but gets the +1. So this is a situation where having those blesses would have been really, really good had I not lost them. But Fatal Fury is able to easily one-shot, and that leaves with only one living spirit with 1 health, so you would think this would be completely foolproof, and I still somehow managed to mess it up. I should... Oh, the dog is barking. I should have realized that if I stand right there and I do my loot 2 to grab that chest, which I really, really need that gold, I should have realized that he kills my Berserker, and my Spellweaver has no turns left. So I had to restart the round to make my Berserker go hide over in the corner to do that looting. And then I'm able to kill it on the following turn. But yeah, so not getting Defiance of Death up, letting my Spellweaver die early game, this was a horrible scenario. And had it not been the fact that the run I'm running against is really bad, I would have reset here. But I have not had a single run that doesn't have any major mistakes. So that is Frozen Hollow done. Definitely the second hardest scenario in the run. But now we have access to enhancements, which is why I really, really, really needed to pick up that chest on the Berserker. Adding jump to Strength of Agony is just the most important enhancement in this entire run. So I delete my Spellweaver here because I need that. Later I will need Eagle Eye Goggles on both my characters. So that way, just deleting her just gets rid of it immediately. Able to add my Mind Thief back in. Just need to switch my cards so that I have Gnawing Horde, so that I have 2 move 4s, Gnawing Horde and Feedback Loop. Yeah, here we go. And moving into Temple of the Elements. Now, this is the first scenario in the run. Beating this, I would say, marks the halfway point. But this is the first scenario in the run where the goal is not to kill all enemies. Every scenario up until here, I've had to destroy everything. This scenario, you only have to kill 4 altars. Now, the altars make each of the demons stronger, which I'm actually able to take advantage of. So, ideally, my Berserker is able to kill one of these cultists on turn 1, which he is. These cultists are going to have several turns. I believe this is a 5-turn scenario. And then if I get unlucky, it can be 6 or 7. So the cultists have very good odds of summoning. So just having 1 fewer cultist means that at the end, by the end of the scenario, I probably have 2 fewer skeletons alive. Also, my Berserker could just go and destroy an altar on turn 1, but I do not want that altar destroyed. You will see why. We're actually going to go slow on the Berserker on this next turn, just so that he does not destroy the altar. I really, really love this strategy here on the Mind Thief. So Mind Thief is going to scurry, eat the boots, so that it can hit the altar for 1. With Mind's Weakness makes it makes it 3, but then the -2. Now I can tell this Earth Demon to attack for 2, but since there are still 4 altars left, it's an attack for 6. So you can see if I had gotten a 0 on my Mind Thief there, I would have destroyed the altar, but instead I got the -2. So a little bit unlucky. I would have been able to short rest and get Scurry back so that I would have a move bottom and a move top to start moving towards the next altar. But in the end, it is what it is. Here, I just need to not get a -2, and I don't. So that is 2 altars destroyed on turn 2. Well, 1 altar destroyed and 1 altar with 2 health on turn 2. But with an attack for 4, the worst I can draw is a -2. So I do not have to worry about that. Mind Thief is invisible here, so the Earth Demon, man, you never see an Earth Demon move that many spaces. That's terrifying. I want to go slow here. I want to go slow here. There we go. Just since I'm invisible, I'm able to go invisible right here on my Berserker to set it up for a long rest. I need to get my boots back, and I want Strength of Agony back, so it's just it's the easiest way to get into that final room. And Mind Thief goes slow. I don't need to burn the Topic Reverse Edge because even a -2 I would still kill. Unfortunately, even though I went with my slowest card, I was still faster than this Earth Demon, so he's going to hit me and I have to ditch a card, but it's not the end of the world. So Berserker is going to long rest here to get boots back. Mind Thief heavy movement card, so it needs to short rest so that it can get a move 4. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a move 4 and a scurry, and it wants to go relatively fast just so that those cultists don't block the way. It was very important to pick feedback loop there, because if the cultists had drawn their 10 speed card, they would have walked forward and blocked off the Mind Thief. That elite cultist would have blocked the way. That's why I had to pick feedback loop. I have had that happen to me before. And so I'm not able to hit or destroy the altar on this turn, but I will be hitting the altar for 4 and for 5 with the bottom of Fearsome Blade and then the top of Perverse Edge. So I just need a +1 on 2 attacks and a +0 on the other from the Mind Thief to destroy this altar. And I don't even remember what I get. So please, RNG. There's a +1. Okay, now a 0. 0 or better kills. Perfect. Amazing. So this was a very, very, very good Temple of Elements. And there is the final altar. Don't have to worry about killing anything. Did not need the Eagle Eye Goggles there, but everything is destroyed. Just need my characters to survive, and we are done. So that is definitely the halfway point of the run. That is 7 out of 16 done, but those are the longer scenarios, and it's most of the hard scenarios. The first 5 scenarios are all the first 6 scenarios are all pretty difficult. The first one's pretty easy, and then the second one's free. But all of the the next 4 are all very difficult. So now this is the midpoint in the run, and we're going to grab a card that you almost never see. We are going to take Possession on the Mind Thief. I could see using this card if you really, really like using the Mind Thief summon, which is really good. I really like the Mind Thief summon, but it only moves 1. But Possession is going to allow us to throw the Berserker forward. And the next several scenarios are all just destroy an objective. So we are going to... So this scenario got a lot harder when... on the latest update, because the pillar that's in the back that you have to destroy, it got its health increased. It was not scaling with levels the way it was supposed to. I love this strat here. Mind Thief is able to just one-shot a demon by using a trap. And then based off the damages that they're dealing, I didn't need to use my invisibility cloak here. I can easily tank those damages. So my Berserker has healed up to 26 using the overheal and a top heal. Before the patch, you did not need to overheal. At 14 health, with Eagle Eye Goggles, you were guaranteed to destroy the altar, and so you could finish the scenario a turn faster. But that is no longer the case. I finally got to use Into the Night for its bottom invisibility here. But Berserker moves forward and goes invisible. You definitely want to go invisible there, just because those deep terrors, they have the chance of drawing an immobilized card. So go invisible again here on the Mind Thief. That way the Berserker, as soon as it takes damage, I can just let it die, and then the Mind Thief will win the scenario. So I can skip everything taking a turn. I need to be at full health. I believe this thing has 24 health, 22 health. So at 24 health or higher, Glasshammer is guaranteed to one-shot. And I can kill that Night Demon. They can't see the Mind Thief because he's invisible. This Night Demon is going to go ahead and kill my guy. And now all of these black imps are just going to stand there and do nothing, since they have no focus. Same thing with the Deep Terrors, and we are done with Plan of Night. Very fast scenario. Treacherous Divide is a little bit faster. I'm not even going to slow it down because it is most definitely the easiest scenario in the run. It is completely free. There is nothing I can even imagine you could do to mess it up. Even one time when I just forgot to use my invisibility cloak, it was totally fine. This was actually a really good time to get that particular road event, because that is one of the worst road events you can possibly get. Both of its answers are bad. I believe if I had picked the bottom, I would have had to discard some cards. So I will definitely take it right there. Losing a perk point kind of hurts, but the Berserker gets over... The Berserker gets more perk points than it needs by the end of the run, and the most important perk point threshold for the Mind Thief, we've already hit. It was that Temple of the Elements level. You just want to have good perks by then. So Berserker's just going to go forward. Need to make sure not to use a Lost Top, just so that... Oh, this is the scenario where I forgot to go invisible. I had forgotten. Yeah, that's definitely some time loss. Not going invisible there. I meant to... I just missed clicking on the invisibility cloak. But, so now I need a +1. Oh, gosh. Oh, man, that was horrible. But it ended up working. Getting muddled by the dragon. I guess those dragons muddle on every attack, don't they? So, don't be like me. Just use your invisibility cloak, and you will be fine. But still, easiest scenario in the run, done in 2 turns. There is one that can be finished in 1 turn, but I made a mistake on this one, and you need good luck. If I had not made my mistake, my luck would have been good enough. We're moving on to Nightmare Peak. I really like this boss fight. My first time casually playing tabletop with my wife. We had a lot of fun with this scenario. But I'm going to kind of destroy it here, as you would expect. This is kind of the same thing as the last couple of levels, where we're just going to sit back and overheal up to 26, and then just jump into the final room. Mind Thief does have a cool strat here. There's a chest in the very top that you can see right now. That chest has 30 gold, so it's a very good grab. So we're going to push this Savas. I can't even... Ice Storm. We're going to push him into that stun trap so that we aren't stunned. And then Berserker's going to go ahead and move forward onto this door. The Frost Demon can hit him for a little bit, but it's not a big deal. So Mind Thief is able to use Into the Night again to loot that treasure chest. It's very important that I get up to 40 gold. Not very important, but if I can get 40 gold on the Mind Thief, that will save 1 turn on Doom Trench, because I'm able to afford an enhancement. And so here, it's just important that my characters go fast. So I go 8 on the... Man, that over-eager Night Demon. I was about to go invisible. So I throw the Berserker forward with Possession at 8. Then I go invisible. Oh, wow, the Wind Demons go at 9, too. So this was somewhat bad RNG. Just in that I'm getting hit a lot. I could have taken that damage. I just need 22 health to guarantee kill this boss. Do I? Yeah, I didn't even realize, and I lost a card. Doesn't matter. In the end, the boss goes down. And then we still have our invisibility cloak, so we can prevent anybody else from doing anything. I think this card, the Ice Storms get Retaliate? Yeah, they get Retaliate with this card. So I don't end up saving that much time. But this scenario was played well. I just got some bad RNG on the enemy pulls. Drake Nest. Now, there is a very interesting quirk with the way I am leveling my characters. So since my Mind Thief is going to stay at level 1, I can move my Berserker up to level 7 still, and still only increase the difficulty of the monsters by 1. So I will be going up to level 6 here, I believe. I don't think I have enough experience to get all the way to level 7. But at level 6, gotta make sure I pick all the right cards. At level 6, when I have 1 health, I can one-shot a 9 health enemy. It just so happens that all of the dragons in Drake Nest have 9 health. So at 1 health, the Berserker can one-shot all of the enemies here. This would be the next most important scenario to have good perks on the Mind Thief, so I go ahead and use that perk point. And I add +1 move to Feedback Loop, so that is now a move 5 jump. So we are going into Drake's Nest. This is definitely one of the harder scenarios. Probably, I might say 3rd hardest. Slave Pens is definitely the worst. And then Frozen Frozen Hollow is very typical for me. But Drake Nest. The objective here is to kill 8 dragons. The problem is just that these rending drakes wound with every attack, and they can hit pretty dang hard. And these flame demons, killing the flame demons does not do anything towards the objective. So I do not know if this is a good idea or not to use Glass Hammer on this flame demon, but it's what I've found is the most consistent for me. Saving Glass Hammer would be nice because you can use it with a long spear to kill 2 targets. But there is only one place on this entire map where 2 enemies spawn right next to each other. And so my Berserker is going to be taking advantage of those 2 with his Resolute Stand. And other than that, you would have to get good luck for enemies to group up. So that +2 was really, really huge from the Mind Thief right there. It means that this dragon will most likely die to that wound, but the dragons, both sets of dragons, do have a card that will heal them. So he is not guaranteed to die. These 2 dragons, however, are most definitely guaranteed to die. My computer is kind of chugging a little bit here. Yeah, this scenario with the flames from the flame demon and the flapping from the dragons, my computer does not like this scenario. I tried to kind of zoom in to reduce lag a little bit. But both my characters are invisible here, so everything's just going to stay still. So I can go slow and Fatal Fury one of the dragons down with my Berserker. And then my Mind Thief is going to be going slow. And since these Rending Drakes didn't heal on this turn, I only need one more turn of them not healing for this one that's wounded to die. And worst case scenario, he heals next turn, and then he'll just be left with 1 health since he's poisoned. So I can go ahead and come in here. Looking at their cards, the Rending Drakes cannot move, so I don't have to worry about that one that's right next to my Mind Thief, and I can just go ahead and hit this dragon and go invisible again. So now that Rending Drake doesn't run over towards the Berserker, and nothing. Okay, so I got interrupted and had to edit, so I have no idea what I was in the middle of saying. But right here, I did not need to even do an attack. This guy would have died. The computer is really having some difficulty right here. It is not the best computer. This scenario is hard for it with the flame demons and the spitting drakes, but let's see moving forward. So this is where it's kind of an awkward point where ideally I would have had more gold on the Berserker and I would have a stamina potion and I could get back Fatal Fury with a stamina potion. But when you only have 1 health, if you try to do a short rest, you are not guaranteed to get back the card that you want. You have pretty good odds of losing the card that you want. So I did heal some knowing that this guy was going to be coming up and hitting me. That guy runs away, which is a little bit unfortunate. But I am able to get my Defiance of Death up, which is very nice, especially with these wounding enemies. Since I want to be at 1 health, it's very important to have Defiance of Death up. So Mind Thief is able to get a kill here. Beautiful, that guy will die. I probably should have used the top of Possession just as an attack for 4, and then use the bottom of Reverse Edge to start moving the other way. But live and learn. The computer's taking a long time to figure out what it wants to do with this dragon. And the other dragon dies to its wounds. So at this point I probably definitely should be a little bit faster, but unfortunately I've already used my Moon Earring, so I can't poison and or wound this guy. That would be really nice, especially given that either a poison or a wound on the first hit would have killed. Really a pretty good optimization probably would be to not poison that previous dragon, the spitting dragon that was in the top right hand corner, because I did not need that poison damage for anything. I could have saved that poison dagger and used it on this guy, and he would have been dead. It would take 1 fewer turns, but man, it takes a long time for my computer to decide what it wants the monsters to do here. And I'm having to ditch a lot of cards, but at this point I'm very confident that I will be winning this, because I've got my Defiance of Death up, and I only need to deal 1 damage with the Mind Thief, and then there's just this 1 spitting dragon that I can kill with a Fatal Fury. So pick my card to lose. This is a slightly difficult scenario to figure out. It's everything ends up being on the fly a lot more than most other scenarios. And my Defiance of Death is gone, and I get hit multiple times. So this is dramatic. And I'm wounded, very close to losing here. So since I'm not at 1 health, I do need to do at least 1 damage to this dragon in order to kill it with Fatal Fury. But I do get the damage that I need. And now I just need... I need to survive for 2 turns on my Berserker for this guy to die to his wound. So that should not be an issue. My Thief is dead from having to ditch 6 cards to not take damage, but I already knew at that point that I had won. He gets his... neither of them are attacking, which is nice, given that my Berserker would have to ditch a card. What do I do here? Yeah, I don't have the cards. Man, this scenario took a very long time. Oh wow, that is good luck. I still would have had another turn though, and most likely been fine. So Drake Nest is kind of it's an awkward scenario because it's a hard one that's just put right in the middle of a whole bunch of super easy ones. Doom Trench is another easy scenario. There is nothing that needs to be killed or destroyed on this one. It is purely get both characters to the end. However, the end is very far away, and there are multiple enemies that can... I was trying to get some gold here. Really unfortunate that my Berserker does not have 10 gold. 10 gold is such a small amount, but the stamina potion is necessary for this scenario. And so I ended up selling a health potion, which definitely comes back to bite me a little bit. But I need the stamina potion here. So going into Doom Trench, I need to make sure that oh, what are they even called? These squid guys can't ever hit me with their immobilize. You can see the computer has a much easier time on this scenario. So my Berserker is able to move forward, one-shot this guy. That way he can never immobilize us. And my rat is able to... I use my stamina potion right here to get back Strength of Agony. Very, very important. And then I want to make sure that I won't die. Use my boots here. And I don't need... it's fine for me to use 1 loss here on the Mind Thief, because I will only be taking 1 long rest. So I can go ahead and prevent that other lurker, that's what they're called, from doing anything. And I can just lose a card here with the Mind Thief, no big deal. My characters are now going to go fast and go far, so I'm able to use Scurry Top. I don't use Scurry Top on that first turn because I don't want to open this door to get into the second scenario, because it causes a whole bunch of monsters to go again. And if I use, in order to use Scurry twice in a row, I would have to do a short rest or have a stamina potion, but I already have a Moon's Earring, so this is what I've found works best, is to just Moon Earring to get back my boots, and then I can use Scurry, and this is why I needed the +1 movement on Feedback Loop. That allows me to get right in front of the door, and now both my characters are ready to storm the final room. They just need their boots back. So we're just going to take a long rest while these enemies take 2 turns. Invisibility Cloak is very OP, but I'm able to get back exactly the cards that I need, and then my characters just jump to the end. So enhancements are very, very helpful for this scenario. Just need to go fast and just need to scurry. Now, if I do not have the +1 movement on Feedback Loop, if I'm just a little bit of money short, I can make sure my Berserker dies. I can send him forward and have him die to an attack from that tentacle, and then as long as he dies on that tile, the Mind Thief can hit that tile. But since I have the +1 movement, I don't need to worry about that, and we are moving on to Lair of the Unseeing Eye. This mistake that I make right here really hurts. I have the experience that I could level up my Berserker one more time here, which would give me 2 more health, which would make my Glass Hammer deal 2 more damage, and you will see that the boss would have died on the first turn if I had dealt 2 more damage to it. So, just a very silly mistake that it only loses about 30 seconds, but very, very easy free time save. So just going to jump to that second room. This is such a small scenario. This boss fight is so much easier than some of the other ones. So unfortunately, with 7 health, I will never be killing this boss with my attack for 4 from my Mind Thief. But just to rub salt in the wound, I get a +2, so he has 1 health left. So it's definitely possible if I had just remembered to level up one more time and get 2 more extra health. But now I know for next time. And then coming up here is Slave Pens. So Slave Pens is definitely the hardest scenario in the run. I've had 4 runs in the last week get up to Slave Pens, and I've been like 17, 18, 19 minutes ahead and just lost my runs there because Slave Pens is not an easy scenario. So moving on to it, I will be leveling up my Berserker this time. It gives me 1 higher health point on my Fatal Fury one-shot range, and I'm at 7. So 7 and 1 makes my characters add up to 8, and when you have 2 characters, every multiple of 4 will increase the difficulty. So if I were to level up either of my characters 1 more time, all of the monsters would go up in difficulty by 1. So this is where I will be ending my leveling up for the rest of the run. This is how they will stay, with my level 7 and my level 1 right next to each other, but don't worry, the level 1 does some work. Now, unfortunately, since I was short on gold and I had to sell my health potion for the stamina potion, I ended up bringing bounce back instead of spiked armor. Normally I use spiked armor on turn 1 right here to hit both of these guards. But I really wanted bounce back for the heal 1 since I was missing one of my health potions, just in case I needed that heal to remove wounds. This scenario it's a really, really interesting one. So the most important thing to know is that this Orchid Doomstalker, basically right here, if he has an open route to get to a door, he will move forward. But you can see he did not move forward on turn 1 because these 2 guards are blocking this door. So there are 5 rooms in this scenario. The first room, the second room, and the 4th room have enemies walling it off in such a way that if you open the door and those enemies do not move, they will then your Orchid who you are escorting will not move. So it's kind of important that you're constantly moving forward so that he doesn't move forward, so that he stays back, because we do not want him getting far ahead of us. This is a really, really weird RNG that I have never seen before in the way these enemies ended up moving, and so I did not deal with this well. I do not do a good job on this scenario. Also, my heart rate was relatively elevated while I was going through it. I was really upset thinking that I had another run that had gotten to Slave Pens that I was going to lose. Yeah, having to lose a card in the second room to not take damage is very, very bad. Ideally, these guys would have gone faster than my 37, and they would have hit me, because even if I take damage, it's fine, given that I'm using Glass Hammer. Also, because of the way they ended up moving, now the Orchid has already moved forward, and I didn't have enough money on my Berserker to get a Moon Earring, so he's going to have to long rest before he goes into the 3rd room. So this is all really, really bad. None of this is going according to plan so far. Since I had to use my health potion to not die on the previous turn, I needed some more damage on this Stone Golem before Fatal Fury would be able to kill him. And so now I'm able to get my Defiance of Death up, and luckily both of these guys are wounded. One very interesting thing about this scenario is that every enemy none of the enemies have any heal cards except for the shamans. So as long as you kill the shamans, as soon as you expose them, as soon as you open the door to them, then any wound will eventually kill any enemy. So one thing that I do find is important to know for this level is that it is okay for your Doomstalker to take some damage, as long as he doesn't die. So even though he's at 7 health, I don't... Oh no, he does end up getting hit again. I actually... This ends up being really, really close to me losing because of him taking damage. But it is time to enter this third room. This third room is very difficult. Redthorn, that's his name. This third room is very difficult. It has an elite stone golem. And elite stone golems just have too much health and too much shield. But luckily, they are grounded enemies. I was having to count my tiles here to figure out how much damage I needed to take. But luckily, stone golems, they are grounded enemies, so they do step on traps. This is an instance of I expose a shaman, but I kill it on the turn I expose it, so it doesn't really matter. This is another place where having the +1 movement on feedback loop allows me to get all the way into range on this guy. And wound is good on him, the poison is not necessary. But stone golems can't heal anything. So, pushing him into that trap is very good. Best case scenario would be that he is not moving, or he only pulls his move 1 card, but unfortunately he moves all the way back to my Mind Thief and one-shots. That is some bad luck. I really need to take care of this guy quickly. I don't want to just wait 9 turns for him to die. So I am going to have to short rest here on my Mind Thief to get Fearsome Blade back. And having to lose feedback loop is quite painful. This is a very, very bad attempt at slave pens, but this level just, everything just always seems to go wrong on it for me. So I was very prudent in saving my boots, so that I would have my boots in a scenario like this. This way I'm able to wound myself with Careless Charge, but I can just heal it right back up with Bounce Back. This is why I brought Bounce Back into the scenario when I normally bring Spiked Armor. And I wanted to go ahead and open this door because there's always a good chance, it might just be 1 in 4, that this archer will not move, but also very frequently when it moves, it will only move 2, and then the guard will not move. It's very possible to open this door and have the enemies wall off in such a way that Redthorn won't move forward. And you can see Redthorn doesn't move forward. I am getting very low on stamina here. I've played multiple losses and I've lost cards to not take damage. So my Berserker is getting very low. And then I also do not, since this elite guard moved forward, he is not in a position where I can super easily push him onto these traps. That's my normal strategy, is the turn I open the door to run forward and push him onto the traps. But Redthorn kind of got away from me, and so it just... Oh, this whole scenario was a big mess. Ideally, the Berserker would just have 1 health, and he would be able to go up to that archer and one-shot it with 1 health and Fatal Fury. But that did not happen. This is a good turn to get that immobilized card. You never want to see that immobilized card, but on a turn where I'm long resting, it's definitely not the worst. And Defiance of Death coming in handy. Growing Rage maybe would have been a good... I probably should have kept Growing Rage and lost Bounce Back. Growing Rage actually turns into a really big attack in the last couple of turns. Attack for 6, attack for 7. So that was probably a little bit of a mistake. But once again, that archer did not move since it had a target, and so Redthorn is staying still. Very, very, very useful for me. So Careless Charge top with Fatal Fury bottom is going to be able to do some damage. And then luckily, this guard did not... luckily, this guard had moved back into position where he's able to hit both of the traps. And then with just a nice little wound, didn't need to waste my Poison Dagger. Just a nice little wound, he dies. And so I'm going to be attacking for 8 here, so I just need a +2 overall and now 2 zeros to kill this guy. But the Berserker's deck is really, really good at this point. A lot of rolling modifiers that deal damage, and so was able to kill him without even needing that other +1. So the bottom of Fatal Fury coming in clutch there too. Redthorn can move forward now, but we just have 1 room left to deal with. Very, 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 very low stamina, though. 3 enemies left to kill. Oh, yeah, I did actually have to bring... I did have to bring the Mind's Weakness down for stamina, but that did save me 1 turn on my Mind Thief. It's really, really difficult to figure out what to do here. If I get my Berserker down to 1 health, which I can take 3 damage from Strength of Agony to do, if he has 1 health, he can one-shot either the Archer or the Shaman that's in the back. And then there's a 12 health guard in front of them. But if I send him in the back by himself, he will die. I do think that's what I should do at this point, though. I should probably long rest the Mind Thief. And, oh, I guess that's what... Oh. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I had forgotten about that, but ideally I would have been able to have Fatal Fury and Strength of Agony, and that would have been my turn, and I would have been able to go to the back and one-shot the Shaman. You definitely want the Shaman dead. He has a card that goes at, it's either 7 or 8, and it disarms. And he has a card that goes at 8 or 9, and it immobilizes. And he can heal targets. It's just, he can be a really big pain. Yeah, unfortunately, just restarting round, I would still get the same RNG if I went for short rests. So the only thing I could do was long rest. But now I have too much health. Now I have 6 health, so I won't be able to go down to 1 health and one-shot with Fatal Fury. So I'm just going to have to attack instead. But at least I do have my my long spear back. And then my Mind Thief will go in second and just get some damage and set up the... Yeah, I don't need to take any damage. I'll be able to get all the way to the back. I didn't even need to use the boots. Not that it really mattered. So big damage here, and the Berserker always comes through when you're needing some big damage. I probably should have Stamina Potioned here. I don't know why I didn't. It probably wouldn't have mattered. The only thing it would have mattered is if I needed to ditch a card to not take damage. But very luckily, this guard did not move. Well, it does mean that my Mind Thief suffers retaliate damage. This is a very difficult scenario. But since I have my boots up, ideally I would hit the guard right here and get a poison and a wound on him both. Oh, and I had my moon earring left. I should have poisoned and wounded that archer and then moon earring back. I really need them to go slower than 34 so that my Berserker is able to get a turn. Oh, but I can stun with Perverse Edge. And then I can also push with Fearsome Blade. Oh, this is hard to watch. And you can see from my timer in the bottom right that I am losing a lot of time here. Okay, yeah, prevent the archer from doing any damage, and then I can poison and wound this guy. And now, at this point, it should be free. Thank you for laying that trap, Mr. Archer. I could go for a Fatal Fury for a kill on any of these 3 targets. I should have attacked that guy. Why did I not attack him? But the bottom of Fatal Fury coming in clutch. Yeah, that guy only has Retaliate 1, so even if I hadn't killed him, I could have killed all 3 of those enemies that turn with the Berserker. But it doesn't matter. He is dead. Mind Thief is going to finish it out in style. And Red Thorn finally makes it to the final room. Very important throughout the entire scenario that you're keeping Red Thorn at bay. But this guy is guaranteed to die from any attack that I do. Whew. And Slave Pens is done. On to Shadow Weald. This is the final mini-boss fight. After this one, we get the grand finale, the final boss. So this is absolutely, I think this was, of all of these 16 scenarios, this was my favorite one when I was playing tabletop for the first time. Because this boss has a really, really, really unique and interesting mechanic. Had a very difficult time clicking on the right scenario there. If this boss is able to do a melee attack, he basically goes invisible. So you cannot let him do a melee attack. So the very first time you're playing it, it's really fun to try to figure out how to do it. Unfortunately, in a speedrun, when I know exactly how everything works, and I know the speeds of all of the cards, and I can plan out ahead of time, I can just go invisible and then guarantee that I kill him. So we will just get into position. and go invisible. I can speed it up. We don't need... Get in position, go invisible on both of the characters. The boss will spawn. He won't find a target, so he will just stay still. And then the next turn, we just go fast and we kill him. I could go slow, but there's just no good speed. I can't remember exactly what the speed range that I would need is. I believe it's like in between 51 and 73 is the speed range that I would need to hit, and I would have to change out my cards to hit those speed ranges to go slow. It's just easier to go fast and then have to ditch cards to not take damage. I don't know. It probably would save some time to go slower, but it's just really risky that one character will go and hit the boss and not kill him, and then the boss will get a turn and be able to go invisible and leave the board. So I do it that way. Boss is done. We are now on to the very final level. And this is the point in time where I will go ahead and put crits back into the game. Unfortunately, the Berserker cannot ignore negative scenario effects, so the Berserker will be getting 3 misses into its deck. I do not need the Long Spear. It does nothing for me here, so I can go ahead and buy a Moon Earring along with my Eagle Eye Goggles. Already have a Moon Earring. Boss is immune to poison and wounds, so those don't do anything for me. So I can get Eagle Eye Goggles, and we are ready to go into the final boss. I was really nervous here, really trying to get sub 2 hours. And basically, in order to do so, I need a crit. The boss is going to have 70 health, and my Berserker will be attacking for 22 and for 20. I'm also missing a health potion, which kind of sucks. I got good RNG here. I wanted to go slower than all of his cards where he teleports away. But he basically pulled his best card he can pull, where he's only attacking a single target. And yes, he is attacking for 16, but it just means that I will ditch a card. Berserker takes 2 damage at the end of every one of his turns, just as a scenario effect. There's nothing you can do about it, since he can't ignore negative ones. I probably should not have used my Eagle Eye Goggles here, because Mind's Weakness is just an attack for 3. But now, my characters are both up and personal with the boss, and so it is time for me to wail on him. So Devil Horns bottom, Resolute Stand top, Perverse Edge top, and Fearsome Blade bottom. Just do absolutely as much damage as is possible. Fearsome Blade bottom, and it misses. Unfortunate, especially since the Mind Thief only has 1 miss and has 3 crits in the deck. So we'll go for this attack 5, and we get a crit. And attack for 18, and we get a crit. And then just a +2 or better kills, but not quite. But not a big deal. The boss is definitely going down on this next turn, and it is looking like it is going to be a 158. Just need to go fast and not misclick. And the boss goes down. So that is Gloomhaven Brutal Speedrun, less than 2 hours. It's really, really fun. Especially once you know the levels really well and you have all your strategies memorized and you know exactly what you're doing and what you're looking for. It's really fun to try to adjust to the bad RNG you get on the fly. And I think that is all I have to say about it. So I really hope someone else out there will find this and be inspired to give it a try. If you want my notes, I will send my notes to you, and best of luck to any and all Gloomhaven players out there. Have a good one.